What is up, everybody? My name is Alex Seda, and welcome to Speakerboxx, the only show where we get deep into dance music, how to produce it, the tools we need to produce it, and we're going to have some conversations with some of the best and most influential DJs and producers in the business. So, stay tuned. What is up, everybody? This is Alex Seda, and welcome to Speakerboxx. Today we have an absolute legend. Like, there's no way to begin to describe how amazing this guy is, how influential he is, how talented he is, and how much of an amazing person this guy is. So I want everybody to welcome David Penn.
Hey man, how are you?
Very good. Tu qué tal? Everything good or what, bro?
Yeah, very good, man. Well, at least we are trying to produce more than ever. I have more time in the studio, so not so bad at the end. At least we can do music.
I'm talking to a lot of my friends. Are all saying the same shit, and I'm always wondering. I'm like, dude, by the end of this thing, I hope that everybody has enough material to make a whole fucking album. So, I think that's what's gonna happen.
This is what I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
no, I think everybody's gonna be releasing like their whole like double LP. Like I think that's what's gonna happen after this. But it's great to hear, bro, that you're keeping busy, huh? But I don't know what's been going on during this whole quarantine shit, man. How have you been holding up?
Well, as I said, well, my life in this didn't change. I mean, in the weekly time, as I normally go to the studio and coming back home at night or in the evening, and normally I go to play on the weekends. So at least, well, I'm not playing anywhere, only in my house or in the studio, but at least I'm happy that I can make music, and I was suffering that last year I didn't have enough time to be in the studio, so it's a good option, of course. I'm really happy because I'm really productive right now. But yeah, but normally one of my ways to work is when I do a little demo during the week, I try to test it during the weekend. So I'm really missing to to
That shit
to
now,
play
man.
some ideas that I'm working on. So because you know that it's not always it's always different what you hear in the studio and what you feel when you played it out.
Absolutely.
So this is the bad point, and then I really miss to play out. Yeah, I'm quite happy because family is good, it's safe, and yeah, and I'm using all the time that I can do music in the studio.
To stay productive. Yeah, I'm talking to all my friends around the world, and it's the same shit, bro. Sabes, everywhere's shut. There's no talk of anything opening anytime soon, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't look so
No,
well.
it doesn't look good, bro. Some people are saying that maybe perhaps October, November, we'll see what happens. I sure hope so, bro. It would be cool that at least, because I mean, for sure, the Ibiza summer season is not happening. So I've spoken to a bunch of people in Ibiza, and that's not happening this year, bro. So everywhere is shut.
And the problem is maybe in Spain, if the things are going well, maybe the people could go to the beach or whatever, but in another, but maybe not the tourists, and also it's going to be complicated for international DJs to travel around, because maybe you can depends how it's in your country. So some countries will be open to go, some others not. So it's going to be a long
Yeah,
time
yeah, yeah.
to come back to real to normal life. But let's see. I try not to think too much about that, and then I try to focus more into make music, because it's something that you can compare with anything in the past. So this is what I'm trying to, don't overthink about that, and
No shit.
try to be creative.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
I look at it like this. I look at it as in, once this shit does calm down, we're gonna have to adopt a new way of
yeah,
doing parties. I think the majority of indoor clubs are gonna have problems. I think the majority of the events now are gonna be stuck to outside, and then they're gonna have to set up security who's actually watching people do social distance. So a group of six people here,
yeah.
a group of six people there.
Yeah,
but the
it's gonna
dance
be really
floor,
strange.
it's gonna be very very strange. Which because there can't be any dance floor, there can't be things like this.
Yeah, in Spain they say that when we'll be ready, maybe they will allow to be maybe 30% of the full capacity. But I can't imagine a club with the 30%.
30%
Many
sucks.
clubs will not open.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
and
you
you
go.
can imagine the dance floor will never be many
Nah, won't be
people on
many
the dance
people.
floor.
It'll be the situation where you're like DJing. You look at the dance floor, see 30%, and you're like, fuck, this sucks. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's not a
absolutely.
good turnout. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have to get used to that for a while, dude. But like you, I'm trying to kind of make the best of the situation, bro. You know,
Yeah.
producing the whole idea of coming up with a show, but I think everything's gonna be okay, man. I myself, I'm looking at some other projects where I'm looking at more projects a little bit more in Central South America, where I think things are a little less than the way things are
Uh-huh.
here. But nevertheless, there's no going anywhere. The borders are shut. The airlines are, I don't know, they're fucked too. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Every day I read the news and it's always something now with the airlines. Air France just said that they can't use a lot of their flights. A lot of the airplanes are stuck somewhere in Australia, or there's a Singapore Airlines. They'll say, oh, what? They're all fucked up. So
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah. No, I was lucky because when we had to when we had the lockdown was 3 days after when I just came from my Australian tour, and 3 days later we have to stay at lockdown. So I was happy because at the end I finished my tour. Because if you can imagine, if I have to be in the middle of the tour and have to come back, but maybe because there was restrictions for other countries, so maybe I would be in Australia trying to come to Spain, maybe 15 days in another place. So I was lucky at the end that I could finish my tour and stay at home, But yeah,
good, bro.
it's a shame.
And speaking of tour, bro, okay, I know that this year has been fucking amazing for you, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Despite all the shit that's happened, but before Travis,
yeah.
prior COVID
Well,
19.
I was planned one of the best years of my career. So yeah, it's a big shame, because I had many festivals, many interesting shows.
Yeah.
But it's something that is under our control. It's not under our control, so that's it.
Bro, don't even get me started with this whole thing, bro. I'm sure there's listeners and people watching that all have their own opinions about what's going on in the world and who's responsible for what or whatever the case may be. But this whole thing put threw a wrench in everybody's shit, bro. And everybody's taking this shit really hard. But the long story short, with you, bro, and me, I got into house music roughly 2003. And the short version of the story at the end, though, was that Miami didn't really have. At that time, there was a house scene, but it was a little bit more in lesser clubs. The bigger clubs that were playing electronic music were playing trance.
Yeah.
The space and places like this, and yeah, I wasn't more or less till around, like I'm not saying they weren't playing house music, they were, but in smaller venues, probably gay venues that I wasn't going to, and so I didn't really know too much about house music, and then when I had started my internship after I finished school, and I went to work with George Morel. Of course, George was house music, and nothing, and there was shitload of vinyl in George's studio, like fucking endless amounts of vinyl. And one day I came across a record called Baila. And I remember, I was like, okay, I don't know this is who. What does this say? David Penn, coño. Okay, who's that? Chus. Okay, you know. And bro, I heard it, and the first thing that entered my mind, and I hate to say it like this, bro, was what the fuck is that, bro? And I was like, bro, this is really good, and like I said, I didn't know much about house music, bro. I didn't know that there was all these different kinds. I had the progressive stuff, funky house, soulful stuff, tribal, whatever. Didn't know. So I heard that, and I thought it was fucking amazing, bro. Went through some more vinyl, then I saw that George had Esperanza.
Yeah.
Heard that, bro, and I'm like, dude, this is David Penn guy, bro. Sorry, 2 records in a row, dope. A ver, skills. And then nada, bro. Then over the years, all the shit that I would get from you, bro, whether it was Hold bro. The list is fucking endless, right? The Azuli stuff, bro. Record of yours. Like we've talked about this before when we've met up, because we've known each other. Yeah, I met you in 2005, so yeah, 15 years.
Probably,
And
yeah.
I remember, bro, in 2004 you released "Will I," bro. A
Yeah.
record to me that I still play today. Sabes, I have days where Jesus Christ, it's wonderful, and I'll play both versions of it, bro. Sabes, the Mediterranean one and the original version, and they're lovely sounding records, bro. And one of the things that what I always loved about your music, bro, what I always respected about your music was how, because house music is, it's all of course always about the groove, but nowadays there's very cheap and easy ways to put together music, sorry, samples and this loop, dot, and all this kind of easy shit. But with your music, it was never like that, bro. Every record I ever heard from you, bro, was always, bro, con soul, con alma. Where there's the groove and there's the bass and there's always a musical or keys element behind it, and everything just flows fucking perfectly, bro. Like I don't know, David. You're very good at what you do, bro. Sabes,
Thank you.
and it's really awesome when you come across people, bro, who I feel, and it's not to blow smoke up your ass, but we're touched by God and said, "Mira, this person has this talent." And maybe you have other talents. Maybe you're a fucking ice sculptor, bro. Maybe you're a painter too. I don't know. But as far as when it comes to making house music, I feel like you're a master, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like every like there's no like, because there's records I hear where it's like, oh, okay, this groove is cool, but maybe this bass sucks, or the bass is cool
Yeah.
but the drums suck, or the whole track is cool but the vocals suck, or there's no
Yeah.
vocal but it's like this track is cool but if there was a vocal, and 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 your records always had a fine balance of everything, bro. And it was always, I knew that if I got a record that said David Penn's name on it, I know 100% I can play it. It would just matter what time of day I could play it, or it's a day track or an evening record. But aside from that, like, they're all keepers. From all the promos and shit that we get, it's always like, for sure it's a keeper, bro. So,
Thank you, man.
no, no, no.
Yeah, I always try to do something. I'm as you said, I'm really passionate with my music, so I need to feel what I'm doing, and then and yeah, sometimes you can like more or not my productions, but I always try to make something that it's at least for the moment that I'm living, something that try to make it complete. Sometimes could be more successful, sometimes not, but at the end it's part of me. It's part of my feelings, my way to think about it. So what I try always to don't do is that some producers have success and start to remix everything with the same formula, and at the end it's bad for you, because you are at the end you lose your credibility. So that's why I try to produce music. That's why I normally take time to finish my music. Sometimes the idea comes so fast, but to finish it, I need to be really sure, playing it out, playing in my car, playing in whatever, and leave it for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and then listen again, and with fresh energy, and said, oh, this is really nice, or this is not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this is, but it's always about passion. Absolutely.
Let me ask you this: when you start making records, I mean, like, do you sit in the studio and be like, okay, I want this one to be a pelotazo. I want this shit to be a hit, or like you just make the track and fuck it. If it does good, it does good. Like, do you look
Yeah.
at it
No,
that
no,
way, or do you just make music and then if
no,
it
no,
does good,
no.
it does good?
No, normally all my successful tracks were when I didn't have big
All right. Normally
expectations.
that's how it goes, but just in case, some people like work other ways. So.
Yeah, no, I remember that I don't know when, because I in my career, as everyone, you're going ups and downs, but I remember one period of my life that I thought, okay, I'm gonna do a hit, and it was waiting for that hit, and it doesn't happen, because I was looking on, "Oh, I have to do a hit," and when I relax myself and I just express myself and do it, it's because it's when the things are coming better.
They come
So
together,
yeah,
bro.
it doesn't work if you think I'm gonna do a temazo. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna work, you know. So I mean, sometimes I feel it when I, as I said, when I make a track and maybe I continue doing others, and then I listen again, or maybe it's released 3 months later, and when it comes again, and or if I listen many times just to enjoy listening my own music, you know, because normally you get tired sometimes, but when I listen a lot, some of my projections normally work so good, you know. So it's a matter of, you know, or to be, you know, I try to do in that way, you know, that not relax, but yeah, if you think that we are gonna make a hit,
It's not
it's
gonna
not gonna
happen.
happen.
It's not gonna happen.
Never.
Let me ask you this, bro. Which record of yours has done the best?
Which record you mean about
Yeah,
sales?
yeah.
About the,
Like I don't know which one has had the most. I guess sales. Which one has had the most streaming? I don't know. So which has been? Let's just say which is your three most popular tracks, or the ones that have
well,
brought the most success to
the
you.
first big track that I made was in the 90s. It was another project called K-Dog. It was a global hit which called The Night Train.
Uh-huh.
You know, you remember that
Yeah,
track?
the
All
night train.
of, yeah. So I remember I was 23 years old, and we were just starting with our label. We made a label, which is actually the name of my company, which was Send Records. So we just started to press vinyls, and we were three guys making every record different, like with different names,
Uh-huh.
as we are different producers, but we were all the same guys, and it was. I mean, when I listen, some of them are good and some of them were shit. I mean, because we're trying to make different styles, you know.
But like what?
But
Like you were doing como break beats and or trance. Like were you guys doing
oh,
all different
yeah,
kinds of crazy shit?
I don't know. No, yeah, some of them a little bit more trancey, but it was never on trance. Maybe more house,
Pero different styles of
house,
house.
hard house. I don't know. Not so hard, but I mean, when I hear it now, it's like, oh, some records. But on that time, I was only a producer. You know, I was not a DJ. So one of the guys that were with me, he was a DJ. So he normally came to the studio. Oh, I have some ideas, and I just follow their opinions. I do my thing, but sometimes I didn't know what was right, what was more nice or not. So I just expressed myself. But with the night train was really curious, you know, because we just started 2 or 3 years before, and then it was I think we released the vinyl in Ibiza in August. So it's the worst month to release a track. But in one week there were 1,000 copies, and gone. We were gone in 1 week in Ibiza, and on that time it happened. Everything happened with more time. So until April, it was not released in the UK and was a global hit around. We were
What year
also
is
in
this?
the
What year was this?
huh?
What year was this? ¿Qué año era esto?
And 95 when we released in Ibiza, and 96 is when it was when it exploded over the world. It was number one in the Netherlands, and it was number 12 on the UK. And we also went to the TV program Top of the Pops, which was a mythic program. And you know, you can imagine from one day to other we were producers, and then we create a group, you know, to make some live shows, you know.
Uh-huh.
So there was a big explosion, and is when I started to travel around the world, and it's when I started to decide that I want to be a DJ too, you know, because when we were traveling around, I saw the reaction of my music in the clubs, and I say, wow, I want to try, and I really like it more than I expected, you know. And yeah, it was one of the best decisions, because now I have my ideas more clear, because I have the DJ vision that I didn't have before. So this is really important. So to make short story, I mean, I was using different names until 1999 or 2000. That when I started with David Penn, and maybe the second or the third record was the one you said, Baila, with Choose.
Your second or third record you already released with Defected.
No, with David Penn. Yeah,
Oh,
wasn't
David Penn and
defected. Yeah,
Defected. It's
that
fucking wild.
I
So
mean,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah. Second track. This guy produces on Defected. Fucking great.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
It was
wonderful, man.
when I started as a David Penn. It was, you know, I remember the first year when I started to use David Penn. I stayed maybe the whole winter and spring with not any call to my studio, but I was focused in making music. And then the year when it was coming, I started to release in many American labels, and yeah, and my name grows up, and yeah,
And David Penn is
and this
born.
is
Uh-huh. That,
yeah. So it's about 20 years that I'm using David Penn as you know, as more my music, more my thing that what I did in the 90s. But was a good, ¿cómo se dice? Un buen aprendizaje, ¿no? A good learning.
yeah,
Uh,
a good jumping off point. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, that's very impressive, David. I had no idea, bro. And but let me ask you this, dude. Like when did the idea come into your mind about producing music, bro? Like how did that interest come into you? You know, like how did you I don't know, see one day or hear some electronic band or some shit and been like, oh wow, I want to do something like that. Like, I have a story like that, how I got into electronic music and how I wanted to start doing it. You know, but was there something that just piqued your interest in wanting to produce? And when you started producing, like, why did you get into house music, bro? I mean, did you wanna rock? Did you, you know what I'm saying? Like why did you get into electronic music and how, I guess?
Well, it was I had to thank you to my parents because they asked me to well my father was listening a lot of music funky. I remember when you know in the 70s and in the 80s. I remember my father bought the Michael Jackson Thriller album and vinyl, and it took 1 year to come to Spain. So when it came to Spain, I was listening to that record a lot. So my father, it was always a lot of music in my house, and then and when I had 9 years old, my mom told me, I'm going to put you in a conservatorio in the music
Yeah, there's a
school,
conservatory. Yeah.
and yeah, so it was 9 years old, and I said, okay. I mean, I like music, but it was nothing like I really like. It's like because I started to play guitar with 6 years, but I leave it because I hate the teacher that I had, so I forgot it. I forgot a little bit, but my mom took me to the school and said, well, let's see if you like it, and I love it, and it was classical, and 5 years solfa, so the most boring thing, but I love it. So and then I was in the school, and many people ask me, well, what are you going to study? And I say, well, I'm studying music. And they say, yeah, but if in case you need another thing, you say, yeah, but I see all the other things that I can study, and it's nothing interesting for me. So I'm focusing in music. And so then when I was 17, no, 15, 16 years, I lived the classical. I was a little bit tired, and they started more contemporary music, jazz, Latin rhythms. I started to study this kind of music, and I always know that I need to work by myself because I play in some bands, but it was always problems. The guys didn't came. So I always thought I would like to do something by myself and create something. So that's why I start to I bought my Atari, my the first computer that I had, which I have no hard disk. No, it just was a sequencer with Cubase 1.2 or something like that.
That's what you were using
And
as a sequencer.
uh,
That's what you were using as the sequencer.
Yeah, this was my first sequencer. Well, before I was using something with another friend, which is was using Amiga computer. But when I started to make my own music, was with
From the
the
Atari.
Atari, because I had MIDI,
And what
and
year was this, bro? So that people can get an idea more or less of what year this
yeah, well,
technology was going around.
maybe I was 18. Maybe in the 1990,
In 19.
maybe 1989. Yeah. So it's so I started up. I started to listen. I started to go to clubs, and I started to listen acid house and the classic house music. And I said, "Wow, I like this because it has more music on it, but it's funny, because I like." I always like to dance, to move myself. And then I say, "Oh, this is something I could do in my home, house music." So at that time, I was a rare guy because it's not was nobody making house music really in my country. Maybe a couple of guys. One of them is Deformation,
Yeah.
Dimas, which is he was releasing music on that time, and a couple of guys more, Pedro del Moral, Pedro Vidal, well, Spanish guys
So
that
the
that that they
old school Madrid Español crew, and you guys were the ones making music. The few people making music in the early '90s or even 1990. You're saying.
Yeah, not many. And the funny thing is that I say, what music you do? And I say house, and they say, what is that?
¿Qué coño es house?
So
Casa.
you can
House.
imagine.
Eso.
Nobody knows that. So I started to make it because it's music that I could do by myself, and
But
and
was
then
house music something that you could hear in Madrid? I mean, how did you hear those first few records? Was there a nightclub that was playing that shit? Was there a
yeah,
DJ
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
playing
yeah.
that?
Not many, but because I remember it was Pedro del Morales is a DJ, friend of mine that we were going to a club that he played, and he was playing variety, some of acid house, some of old tracks, some of a little mixed of everything. But I like the way of to make something strong for the clubs, but with some music and musicality, or with harmony.
Yeah, yeah.
And I started to search for. I met my friend Tony Bass, which I made music with him. He showed me a lot of records of the 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 Chicago sound, and they also that years where David Morales was good, Masters at Work. So I start to listen to this music, and I love that. So that's why I was really interested in make this kind of music.
Very interesting.
And I continue my way. Maybe in the 90s, as I said, I was not DJ. I had that project. I also made some records with Tony Bass. We made the first, the only Spanish group of house music that he was singing, and another girl in Spanish. So it's something in house music in Spanish.
Ah,
I can show you that. It was not. It was the group was called Black on Black. But we have a contract with AMI, and well, it was not a big success, but it was fun. It was a good started.
ah,
So I always house music was in my head.
bro. And it's crazy to think now. Okay, how many producers I know, como personally, that are in Spain, plus the little chamaquito young kids that are probably doing shit in their house that we don't know. Pero joder, I mean, with you and Chus or Oscar L, Abel Ramos, there's fucking a bunch of you, no sé, Uner, Koyu, there's, Paco Suna. There's so much talent now coming out of Spain. And to know, bro, that sabe, people like you and Dimas were some of the first guys to do it, you know, that's
No
very
problem.
cool, bro. Very
The good
cool,
part
bro.
is that I always said to Dimas and say, "Well, I'm happy that we continue rocking."
That you guys are still doing shit, and Dimas también is still doing his thing. I see that he still does his thing, and so his sound has
Yeah.
changed over the years. Pero igual, he's still busy. He's still doing his thing, and
Yeah. And good quality, and yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, very very cool quality.
Yeah, because we need to make music. It's something that we need to do. Like when I love to play it out, but when I'm touring too much out, it's like I need to be here and making music.
Fucking head
It's
explodes. Yeah, when it's too much on the road, bro.
yeah, exactly.
And she. So no, I understand the sense of wanting to be home and to relax and just kind of put a pause on it, you know,
Yeah,
get your mind right, get your mind together, and then hit the road again.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I completely understand, bro. But the thing with Gavin, every producer, of course wants to make music that they feel. Then you have a lot of people también though who also change with the times. You know what I'm saying? Where it's maybe this year they were making house music, next year the fucking guy decides what he wants to make tech house, and then or maybe a few years before that he was doing some electro shit. You know,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Ahmed, um, coming from myself, I have over the years experimented with different sounds. If you go to my Beatport, I've released records in every fucking genre you can imagine, mostly. Well, in house. Pero I've experimented with things because I wanted to nothing, man. Like I said, experiment and see what you like. Maybe this moment you like this, maybe this moment you like that.
Yeah,
Times change.
absolutely.
And that's cool. And what I've liked, at least on my end of it, was I feel like every time I've done something kind of different, it makes me better overall as a producer. Not even as a producer, just as a
Hmm.
musician. To understand the way that
Yeah.
things work, the subidon or the build up, with this style of house is different than this kind. This one might require more effectos. This one might be more subtle, you know. Um, but at the end, after all the years, I mean, I started producing. First time I started producing or fucking with anything electronic music wise when I was 16. But I didn't release my first record till 2005. 2005. I don't know, it was 2004. One of those two was the first time I released a record. Um, and I don't know, man. I guess it took me a while to kind of figure out what is me, but I I, I would say the last couple of years I was doing whatever the fuck I wanted when it came to making music, bro. There was no more, oh, I want to make this sound because this is what's working. Like, fuck that. I'm just kind of sticking
Yeah,
with
yeah,
shit because
yeah.
every time that I tried to do something like that, I didn't really feel good so much with the end result, or it gets to a point after a while where the track is fucking dated, and after like a year, like that style is una mierda. No one wants to fucking hear it. So it got to a point where I do what I want. I mean, right now I have a
Yeah.
record now that's coming out con Nervous with Oscar G
Hmm.
con el Made in Miami label he has, and it's Afro
Uh-huh.
House. Y lo que pasa es que I
Okay.
have another, and yo te lo mando. I don't know if you heard it, but I did it with a vocalista with a guy named Eid Aziz, un
Hmm.
Africano from Kenya, real cool dude, and he's done some tracks that are doing very well on the Afro House chart on Traxsource. A lot of
Okay.
support from Black Coffee. This guy has, and now that we came to talking, he did a vocal for me, and it came out very very cool. But the track is very Afro House. And then I got another
Hmm.
record coming out con Zulu Records with the Los Chicos and My Digital Enemy. Gets a little bit más club, you know.
Hmm.
But and even though the sounds are different, you can hear the similarities on how I make records.
It's about the way that you produce. I also changed my style a few times, but not the essence of the because sometimes the people, as you said, they're I said that they are mercenaries, mercenarios. Like, oh, now it's techno, I do techno. Tomorrow is reggaeton, I do reggaeton. No, it's not my point. Maybe you have to move with the times, and you have to try to find your way, because you are not going to do the same record every time. But and you can hear in my on my career that I change a little bit sometimes, but I try to keep the essence of my music, and I never, because when the EDM came, I didn't want to change my style. Maybe some tracks were a little bit more punchy or whatever, but
It's
not
going to
not
that end, bro. Sabes?
not totally different. And the times that I try to go more with the trendy, that fue mucho peor, no? Was
Yeah,
was
it's when
worse
things
because
didn't really work out the way you would hope them to.
exactly. So at the end, I prefer just to when the things are going well, especially the last years. Okay, I have more uh, más más años. I'm much more experience, in my life. But when I focus more in what I want to do, more than what the people could like, is when I found my sound again. Because as I told you, and with the EDM, it broke my mind because I was doing really well on Beatport, and from one day to other, people forgot absolutely about house music. So for me, it was like, okay, and many people change their style. Some gone to techno, some gone to EDM, and I say, what the fuck? I'm alone.
Fuck this
But I
house
try to
music
keep myself.
only.
But I try to keep myself on it, and yeah, and now I'm receiving the good things. Some producers that changed their style on that years, they told me, oh, I would like to come back. But it's really late because I changed too much my style.
They went
And
off the fucking
and
deep end for the EDM, and now they want to get back into quality shit. And it's like, oh, how can I do that?
yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. So at the end, I think I did the good decision. It took me long because it was maybe 7 8 years. No, not many. Maybe 6 years of missing. No. And I was lucky because I was getting bookings. But what I heard normally is the people that told me, yeah, but your old tracks were really nice. And at the beginning, I was a little bit angry, but then I start to think, okay, I say, well, if the people is telling me, it's because I could do something better. So it's when I started to focus in the 90, in the 2017, 16, 17. I started to, okay, I'm gonna try to find my not new sound, but more what I want to do now, And yeah, it's working so good. So I can't be more happy.
Bro, you definitely found your niche, you could say. Samus, you definitely found something that's working for you. To me, bro, the things that I find that make your record special, bro, is the fact that they never get dated. They
Well,
never fucking get
some
dated, bro.
some
Like, I mean,
good
okay,
and some
maybe
not.
maybe there's a couple where maybe los sonidos, the sounds, maybe are a tiny bit dated, pero nevertheless, like, bro,
Yeah.
I'll play some shit of yours. Like I said, bro, I remember well before like this whole quarantine shit happened. Bro, I played Esperanza or was it? Well, I think I played them both mixed with songs from now, and I played them from the ones that the ones you sent me from the new mastered version that you did for the defected compilation Quesite. So they're the
Yeah.
newer, more mastered ones, newer master. So when
Yeah.
I would play that shit with the new records of 2019, moye, they flow very
It's
nice.
not. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro, they
No,
flow very nice.
it's true. Some records get all better than others, of course. But yeah, I'm happy that some of my old tracks I still playing it, and it's like, whoa. Sometimes I surprise myself and say, oh, this is still sounds good,
Uh-huh.
and some others maybe the sounds could be, or the kind of or arrangement could be. But yeah, I hear some. For example, Will I played in my shows many times. I mean, not always, but it still sounds good,
Yeah,
with a new
that
mastering.
that
Yeah.
fucking record sounds awesome, bro. And
So I said some records get all better than others, But yeah, I'm happy when it happens that I can play some old stuff and don't sound so bad.
let me ask you something. With that track in particular, like did you make all the music first and then Concha Buica did the lyrics with what you did, or did you come up with a couple ideas, send it to her, and then you made the track around the vocal, or did you
No,
make the whole track and then just put the vocal on top? Like, how did that
no, the
process go?
story the story was, we started the idea first. So with choosing and myself, we started with the idea, and then we heard some records from Wicca because she was releasing tracks with Kiko Navarro,
Uh-huh.
and then we contact with her, and we have an idea, a little demo of the track. And the funny thing is that we keep the mic open. The first time, I mean, we played the track a little bit to her, but I mean, 5 minutes before, and then she said, "Okay, let's put me a couple of times to listen," and I just said, "Okay." So I put rec on, and then and then I put rec on, and she started to improvise. And the first part she say was the melody of the "Here I am down the window." That part was the first
Oh, the
take
first
of
take.
her. Yeah, and
Fucking mad.
she didn't realize. She said, "Ah, did you record that?" And I said, "Yes, yes, I record everything just in case." So after that, she started to make the lyrics and say, but changing it, say, no, 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 keep this melody. It's beautiful. So it was. If I didn't record that, maybe the track could be
Something
different,
else.
But I record that moment that she didn't thought that I was recording,
Uh-huh.
and it was really funny because he said, no, no, you have to do with the same, and that's it. This was the thing, and yeah, and after that was really easy because she likes our style, and she's so lovely, and I'm really talented, and after the year she's have a really good career,
Pero so
so
ya no
I'm
te hace
really
dance
happy for
music
her.
no more, no? Didn't I hear something like that? Que ya no hace
No,
dance
not
music.
really, not really. Well, she made a track with me a few years ago, so
Sí.
I was really happy.
I,
Yeah, it was called One Song.
I don't know if I have that record, bro. Coño.
Yeah, well, it was the time was still not house music too much popular,
Uh-huh.
but so my production in that time was were not as popular as now,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, I still sometimes speak with her. She's living in Miami,
Really?
but yeah. Well, at least last time when I was with her in her house there in Miami. I'm not sure if now, but I think she's still living there. So at the end, it was we made another couple of tracks with her. But yeah, with Will I was like this. I just opened the mic,
And
just push record, and
magic from the
started
very
to
beginning,
write.
bro.
And we found
And which version did you finish first? What was the original intended version? Was it the original one or was it the Mediterranean soul mix? So which was the first version of that track that you
no,
created?
the Mediterranean, I think, was the original because I did another remix was um, more musical with not trumpet with a
Yeah,
trombone,
trombone.
trombone,
Yeah.
and that was another version that I did now with what I did with the vocal, vale? Pero the version that we started with was the one that you heard,
From that, and mind you, people, this track came out in 2004.
Yeah,
Um, bro, I remember, coño, que the record was all over the place on Azuli when Azuli was around. Whenever Azuli was putting out some great records, I remember it came out on the Gray. It was a Gray Azuli record.
yeah,
And then I remember that summer, the Head Candy released their normal Beach House CD, and I remember that CD was playing, bro, at every fucking bar in Ibiza, bro. The whole summer I was there. Every time I walked to some bar to get whether it was a pack of cigarettes or get a drink or no sé qué, that fucking CD was on, and then that song would come on. So I remember like the summer of '04, I must have heard that song like a trillion times and never got old. So, but I mean, so we fast forward to losing you, one of your newer records that you've released. Fucking amazing. The record works, bro. Any time of the day, whether it's a day set or even a nightclub set, the track is fucking phenomenal, bro. Um,
thank
and then the vocal of this track. So is this a sample vocal or did you have somebody sing that vocal or what's the deal with that one?
Wow, it's not good to reveal that.
Easy, tranquilo,
No,
tranquilo.
I mean because it's we can say that I didn't record
Vale,
anything.
well, whatever. The point is at the end though is that bro, you seem to have a very very good ear for vocals, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, well, to be honest, I was not so worried because it was there are a thousand of versions of the same song sampled, but that in that part was never used, so it was good.
exactamente. Ese trozo del sample, so that piece of the sample.
Yes. Yeah, but the track was sampled a lot, but not this
Not that
part,
part.
so it was good.
That's creativity, bro. Creativity. So
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, it gave every, you know, every time that I'm making a record, dude, like sometimes I'm like, okay, fuck it, this track I don't want any vocals in it, no vocals. And I'm like, then I start doing it. I'm like, but the fucking track needs something.
Yeah.
It's like, so I always end up putting in something, dude. But it's like and I'm sure 1,000 other producers that are listening to this think the same shit. Where it's like, you yourself go through fucking endless amounts of samples. Sabes, all these
Yeah.
librerías, all these ways that we can get samples now, whether it's Splice or fucking Loop Masters or no sé qué cojones or whatever ones that exist now where you can fucking get samples. Bro, and I'll go, and like I said, I know that everybody feels the same way, so don't tell me that you don't, because I know you do. But I can tell you that we go through fucking hours, bro, of listening to samples, and it's like, all right, maybe I can use this one. All right, this one sucks. All right, this one sucks too. This is real shitty, you know. So maybe you find something that's okay, and then what I'll try to do at the end is if I find a piece that's okay, then I'll be creative with it. I'll say lo meto en un sampler. I'll put in a sampler. I'll do some shit, kind of use a piece and maybe make it sound interesting from just this one piece, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But
of
never
course.
do I
Yeah.
find that sample, the fucking, like where like I need that to happen, you know. So I
No, sometimes it happens suddenly. Sometimes it's easier than Sometimes I don't know why for example, another track which was Nobody
yep.
was I just made a start the idea, and I think I did in the same day. I found the sample because we re-recorded after that, but I don't know how. Los astros
The
se
stars
juntaron
aligned.
para
David Penn is
hell,
referring to the stars aligning of how all his cool
yeah,
shit.
like I started to say, oh, I'm going to try to find some vocal, and I found it really fast, really fast. It was like,
I swear that this fucking guy has. I'm telling you, if we're David Penn, the stars have to align for all his good shit to come together, and it seems to happen very frequently. It must mean that if I go to this fucking guy's studio, I'm gonna see the stars perfectly like this and shit, where it's like,
but
wow.
but but never. It was sometimes I started projects and I was tired because I didn't found any vocal for that. But in this case, in some occasions, it was like, wow, I can. So I sent the idea to the fact that they love it after 8 years that they didn't release any track from me. So when I was doing it, I said this is for Defected, and then they love it and they start to work with me again. So, but it sometimes happen, But some other times I lose my mind to try to find. I'm now actually I'm trying I have I'm more known now, so sometimes I can ask to have some vocals for my tracks, and also I try to send an idea of the melody because it's much easier. Because sometimes the people is like, oh, sing something in my track, but yeah, sometimes could be good, could be bad. Not all the singers can write good. Not all the singers, or normally the singers have their own style. So sometimes you have to. Sometimes could work, but sometimes not. So sometimes that's why I prefer to sometimes send the idea and say, okay, more or less, I like this idea, and I sing it over. Oh, what do you think? Yes, not, whatever. But I try to make something recently more than before, and and sometimes I have my idea more clear what to do.
So basically, Nobody though was the record once again that got you working with Defected again, and now well doing everything that you're doing now with Defected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know what? I'm very glad they took that track, bro, because it's a fucking dope record, David Penn. Very, 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 very dope record, bro. Like sorry for the 2.5 years I was living in Bali, bro. Bro, I don't think there wasn't one DJ, because I mean at the end of the day, all the DJs in Bali who were playing house music, we all know each other, and bro, and every fucking DJ was playing your records. Where I was saying, you know what? I'm getting tired of listening to David Penn songs because I hear them everywhere.
No, one of the best compliments that people tell me is that when I go to play in the clubs, it's like, oh man, when I'm going to play before your set, because I have a lot of tracks that I can play because are
Those are
yours,
David Penn
and
tracks, yeah.
sorry, but I'm glad to.
That's very cool. You know, I had the pleasure, bro, of opening for you when you came to Bali. What
Yeah.
month was this, bro? Was this in
Huh?
January? January? When did you come to Bali, bro? When was that?
Yeah.
May and April.
It was the beginning of the year. Yeah.
So yeah, you know, he came and
Sometimes we can go to the clubs.
I know I'm trying. It's like
It's like ages
it's
ago,
ages ago. So I can't even remember. It was just a few months back,
months ago.
bro. You know, bro, and I had the pleasure of opening for you, and you know, you saw the Bali crowd is a little interesting. You know what I'm saying? They're cool. They're very with it. It's sometimes you can lose them quick. You know, but then again, then you have a very like strong loyal group of people who will be there for the whole extent of the show. You know, and I remember.
Now I remember, no, it actually was at the end of February. No, it wasn't. It wasn't in January. It wasn't at the end of February. And it's like ages. Yeah,
I
man.
can't even remember, dude. But yeah. This whole I've been in quarantine now. I think fucking almost 2 months, bro. I mean, I've been here. I've
Yeah.
been in Miami now 6 weeks, and then basically the last 2 weeks that I was in Bali, I still all this shit was going on. It was starting, and I wasn't fucking going anywhere, bro. I didn't go. I didn't leave out of my house if I wasn't to the supermarket in Osaka. So I didn't. So I've been 2 months like this. So now it's like, bro. The other day it was Saturday, and I thought it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Para que lo sepas. Que ya my sense of what day it is has gone out the fucking window.
You have to, everyone's. Yeah, of
Bro,
course.
okay, it doesn't fucking matter anymore if it's Monday or Saturday, bro. It's like it's the same shit. So, but but yeah, you know, like I said, I had the pleasure of opening for you, and it was a wonderful experience, bro. It was fantastic, and every time that you know that you've been able to kind of to come to where I've been, we always get to hang out, and
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, man, and it's always
You're always taking me to the shops that I want.
Sabes, no,
So
no,
yeah,
no
it's
worries.
always fun, man.
Bro, all right. One of the last few things I want to ask you, bro, is like, as far as your creative process is concerned, bro, because I'm sure there's 1,000 people, bro, that are gonna want to know how David Penn produces. So without giving away anything, you know, too much, do you? I mean, at the end of the day, we all have the ways that we make tracks, bro. Me personally, sabes, I open up my computer, I start fucking around with some drums, and I get a nice groove going. Yeah, once I have my groove going, then I'll lay down my bass and stuff like that. I'll work anywhere between 8 to 16 bars, more or less, to get a nice group of what I've like, more or less, más o menos, going with that time. And then more or less, yeah, once I have 16 bars, then yeah, I'll start the arrangement and the whole rest of the process. But I mean, bro, like, do you work in a similar way? Do you start your basses first? Are you sitting on the toilet and shit and hear like a melody and then go to the studio? Like, how do you normally start your process, bro?
As you said, sometimes it's like you. Normally, I don't start with drums, because I prefer to start more with some musical part
Uh-huh.
or to create a groove. Or sometimes I start with drums, of course, but normally I try to not to lose a lot of time in the drums and more to get a vibe of the idea. Sometimes I just try and I got one loop and this could work with that, but normally I try to create something from, sometimes I heard the sound and, or sometimes I have an idea from on my mind or of an emotion of the last weekend when I was playing in some places and I thought, oh, I think I kind of track like this. That's why I told you that it's really important to be a DJ to get that kind of
For
emotions.
sure, bro. Being a DJ definitely helps you be a better producer, and being a producer helps you be a better DJ. At least that's what I think.
Of
Yeah.
So these kind of emotions that is like, oh, I remember that party and I would like to do something like this. But in other occasions, when I start a remix, for example, I start to work with the vocal, normally trying to make different harmonies of the original. But sometimes it happens that one of the most recent cases was my track Stand Up. I had the idea in my mind since I recorded in the phone in the voice recorder,
Uh huh.
maybe 1 year before the release, and I do many times, when I'm in the
You
toilet,
did
when I'm
what? You
in,
did what? You sang the vocal?
yeah, I just say blah 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 blah. I say dun 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 dun, whatever, when I have my mind. But in that case, I had the idea to make that track, and more or less the melody, I sing that.
Uh-huh.
So this one, and some months later, I recorded another voice vocal, and it was really similar than that one. I didn't know that, but one day, sometimes one time every 2 months, I start to listen all the ideas, and I say, wow, I record the same idea in different months when I didn't heard. So that's why something was here around my mind. So, and it was like,
Something was cooking in David Penn's
yeah,
head.
I was cooking inside, and it was funny because it was normally that don't have them ideas as clear at that time, but then that time I said, okay, I will do when I'm back in the studio, when I'll be okay. So I made the idea. I have that in my head, so I did it in 2 hours, the idea of the track, and I said, okay, I need a vocal. So I sent to Defected. Defected put me in contact with Ramona Renea, which I never heard about her before, but I sent her the idea with my voice on it. So and she took the really fast the idea, and when I heard her voice was like, oh, amazing. So only a few changes we have to do with some lyrics, because of the fact that they are English and they know what is more cool or not to say. But it was something really similar than my idea. So I was really happy when I play when I play that track. It's really emotional because it says that when you have something in your soul, stand up. It reflects a little bit my life of the last years. You have to stand up to be yourself, whatever. And she took the idea really good, and it was part of me. So I was really happy that to work. So that's why, as I told you, I try actually, when I have an idea, try to do some different ideas of vocals,
Mm-hmm.
and I listen again with my phone. And when I'm really sure, I try to send to a singer. But yeah, not until I'm sure. But this was a special case that I had the track before in my head and other times it's like, because I heard some old track that inspires me for something, and so I never. It's not any rule of that. But yeah, try. I don't try to concentrate too much in the sound. Sometimes I can take a loop from another track from me or from someone, just to get a vibe, make some music, and then I change the drums and everything. But because if sometimes I try to do the opposite, to make really good drums with really good vibe, and at the end I get boring about that and I leave the thing. So I prefer to get easier, to get different parts and create something, and with, as you said, 16 bars. And if it works, okay, then I start to clean this and change the drums, or make it better.
Yeah,
But I need to get idea.
yeah. Uh huh. So you guys heard it. Huh? You heard it from the man himself. The guy sits on the toilet, uses his voice recorder shit, and dun 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 dun.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So next time you're on the can and something comes up in your mind
yeah.
and you want to
And
play it,
also
bro, yeah, record.
yeah, 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 yeah. And sometimes it's when I'm in the bed, and then I go to sleep with my wife, and sometimes it's like, oh, I start to sleep, and I say, oh, this melody. So I take the phone. I said, "Dun, dun, dun," and my wife says, what are you saying? And I say, no, 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 just an idea. But dun, dun, dun. And sometimes the day after could sounds really good, or sometimes it's like what I was thinking about, because maybe the day after is like a shit, or sometimes it's like, oh, this is interesting. So you never know. I prefer to record just in case.
That's cool. Well, for all we know, those moments, I see the stars are aligning for you once again when you're in your bed, bro. So, when you're on the toilet, for all you know, you're on the toilet and the
Yeah,
stars align once again.
inspiration comes from any place.
That's awesome, bro. Pues mira, David. I guess maybe to wrap some things up, bro. At the end, here on the web, we've got thousands of tutorials, bro. I've seen tutorials on how to sound like this guy, and how to
Yeah.
get this guy's drums, and shit like this. I would only imagine that a whole bunch of people have either been asking you, how you do what you do, and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, we once we work so hard on getting together this sound that we've tried a whole fucking career to get, it's a little bit more difficult for us to just be like, you know what, bro, in 10 fucking seconds, I'm gonna give you my whole shit that I've fucking taken 30 years to build up in my mind. I'm gonna tell you now in 2 seconds. Yeah. So I understand not wanting to, or just not feeling good about doing that, and that's okay, and that's completely understandable, bro. But is there something that maybe helps you kind of maybe put a shine to what you do? Like, is there I hope you don't mind that I say this, but I remember those one plugin that you've told me about, the Endless Smile by Dada Life. I think that plugin is absolutely fucking amazing, bro.
Yeah.
It does wonders. And in case any of you people have never heard of this plugin, these cats, Dada Life, EDM dudes, for all you guys who do make music, I'm sure you guys may have heard the Sausage Fattener, a great plugin, but they've got one called the Endless Smile. It's absolutely fucking brilliant. It's just got one knob, and it does all kinds of really, really amazing shit to help make make a build up and stuff like this. But it does it without using all kinds of and sweeps and shit like this. So it's a wonderful plugin. And like I said, David turned me on to that one. But I mean, is there something that maybe you don't mind giving away, just as far as I don't know? Do you always, for instance, are you a big SSL fan? Like, do you use SSL to compress stuff? Is there a plugin, for instance? Because I remember you don't master. You send your things to a mastering company, correct? But
Yeah.
is there something like an EQ, perhaps, or something that you like have to use all the time, like when it comes to EQing stuff?
As I said, I study music and everything, but I never study mixing. I'm not an engineer,
Right.
so everything I learned was because I tried to. So it's curious because when I see other guys' productions, it's like, oh no, I do that compressor here, blah blah, and I'm sometimes I'm really missing because I don't
Doesn't make
understand any
sense.
shit. It's like I don't know, and but my kind of way is like I don't mind for the beginning just to EQ or nothing. I just make the idea. Then I start to tweak the things. But normally I don't compress so much. Normally I don't EQ so hard anything. So normally when I said if you are using for example a kick from a library, normally these kicks are already processed. So if you are going to process again, it's not going to sound well. So sometimes I just make a smooth EQ or some compression with some things. But to be honest, sometimes I just do because of my ear, not because sometimes I can do something wrong because I don't know the theory, to be honest. But
Do you put like when you're making your track? Do you put anything on your master bus to give it a little bit more extra pump while you're producing?
when, yeah,
Okay.
not when I produce it. When I started, not. But when I want to play it out, yes, I put sometimes the ozone just to press it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just to get it more the idea of how it will sound when it will be mastered. But the good thing is that normally, always when I when I send to the mastering guy, is like, oh, okay, this was my version to play, and this is the mastering. Is like totally different, much better the mastering thing. But it gives you an idea. But
Oh,
I had to be careful. I have to be careful because sometimes I spend too much time listening with the ozone or whatever in the master, and then when I send to the mastering guy, it's like uh, it sounds totally different. So sometimes you need to hear what is your mix, and then what is the mix with that, with the preset and whatever, because sometimes it's like, oh, it doesn't sound the same, because with this in the master, it gave me another idea. But at the end, as I said, if you see my productions, normally I don't spend much time in strange things of mixing and everything.
Right,
Just
you give it a
follow
tiny
my
EQ, a bit of reverb or delay, no sé qué, but it doesn't go much further
yeah.
than that, though.
Yeah, some delays, some, but and I'm happy that many people said, "Oh, your track sounds really good." When I said, "Well," and when I see on other tutorials of people, it's like maybe I'm doing something wrong because I don't
You're not
do
doing
the.
nothing wrong. The stars aligned for you, motherfucker. Everything sounds fucking great, dude. Yeah.
So maybe it could sounds better, or maybe not, because sometimes my productions are quite not many ingredients, but it could be sound. It doesn't sound totally clean, but I like this. This is little, sucio, dirty sound. A little bit. It gives me more than if I make just the beats from a drum rack.
Yeah.
So I normally sample some loops or parts of the loops, and I create my own loop. So that's the difference. But I mean, about plugins, as I said, not many specials. Well, when I when I try to balance the lows, I use I use one plugin which is called Bass Ranger.
Bass Ranger.
So it is really
Me
useful.
suena,
Yeah,
me
Bass
suena.
Bass Ranger.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds familiar.
it's I don't know
I think
what's
I have
the
it. I can't remember. 'Cause I have so many plugins, and I remember, but I don't use it. But I know I have it. It's somewhere in my computer.
yeah, it's from Plugin Alliance,
Plugin
and yeah,
Alliance.
it was
Right, right.
yeah, Plugin Alliance, and it was Roger Sanchez that told me years ago, and it's really useful because, for example, when you have to EQ the kick, sometimes I use two kicks, one more in the highs, I mean in the middle, in the mids, one, or for example, I have two basses, two bass lines, the same bass line but with different the different octaves. Um, it's a good point because if you do in a normal EQ, it's a lot of frequencies that you don't need. So this is focused more in the part of the low frequencies, and it's much easier to see what is better or not with the different mixes. It helps a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah. Very interesting. Okay, okay.
I don't know, and also for creative things, sometimes I use the tornado, which is when I'm sometimes for
Tornado, the
example,
sugar bites.
yeah, the tornado, yeah, because sometimes when you have a vocal, you don't know what to do, and they say, well, let's try to play with that, and sometimes makes a sequence or makes some effects and something interesting that could help, to make something creative. Because sometimes when I'm sometimes people ask me for a remix, and maybe there is not a lot of vocals on it, so you need to try to use all the parts that you have, as at least. So sometimes I don't know, I just play and say, oh, let's try this, let's try that, and then but after that you need to be sure, testing again. But yeah, you have to try everything. The creative process is you never know when it's going
Yeah,
to be
you know what,
better.
David? To be honest
No.
with you, bro, I would love to sit in the studio one day, bro, and just watch how you do shit, dude.
Okay.
We all have our ways. Um, but I'm just curious. I see, I know that you work with Logic. You've been working with Logic for a long, long time, no? Since I don't even know, since Logic,
Yeah.
no sé cuándo, whenever the fuck that started. No, I think you were one of the first users of Logic, no?
Yeah. Well, I started to use Logic when I was in the 1996, but I leave it. But I leave it 5 years ago. I started with Studio One from Prisanus.
Ah, okay.
So it's a mix between Logic and Live Ableton, more or less,
Right.
because it's really fast to work with, and yeah, I'm working so good. I started to make a track with a friend called Hoss, and he told me, "Oh, let's make a track." Was called Conson, what was huge success. And he told me, "No, but I want to try this program," and say, "Well, I don't want to change." And we made that track, and I never came back to Logic. And when I came back to Logic, it's like, oh, go to the past, because everything is. I like logic, but it takes much time to make stupid things,
Bro,
you know.
that's why
So
I use Ableton for that specific
yeah,
reason. Logic is fucking
yeah,
amazing, and I've always thought that. Sounds great. But Ableton, bro, you work so quick. Sorry,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
very
yeah,
easy to
absolutely.
edit, very easy to put this audio there, very easy to automate. It's like todo en
It's
seconds.
something very, it's something very similar, but I mean, the screen it's much for me. It's more easy to see, and I like how the mix comes through the
Con
through
with
this
Logic,
with no with the studio one,
Studio
with the
One.
studio one. For me, it sounds better.
Yeah, man. Aside from that, I want to thank you very much, David, bro, for taking the time to speak to me and to speak to everybody else, bro. I know a lot of people are very, bro, very interested to get to know you a little bit and to hear about some of your history and what you've done in the past, bro. I mean, you're, I look up to you as definitely one of the guys who got me into doing what I do, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very appreciative and I'm very appreciative at the end of the day, bro, that I've been able to come across. Well, long story short, I've met a lot of people in this industry, bro. I've been doing this shit a long time, been living all over the world, and I've met a lot of people in the industry. And you don't meet as many people, bro, who are very chill, tranquilo, family people who just, they love the music. They're there for the music. They're not there to be fucking partying and taking a bunch of drugs and doing stupid shit. And it's like, I'm not saying any of that is wrong for some people who are into doing that. That's cool, but I think that once you get to maybe a certain age or to a certain point in your life, it's okay to kind of start prioritizing and seeing what's important to you and what's not, and not letting this shit get to your
Yeah.
head, bro. And one of the things that I can definitely say, bro, is that you've always been, very cool, very humble, you know, um, and I appreciate that very very much, bro. So thank you,
Ah,
man.
my pleasure, man. I always love to speak with you.
I appreciate it, bro. You know what? Lastly, dude, did you read this shit that's going on the news right now about how all these the massive DJs are asking everybody to donate money to pay their tour managers?
I,
Have you seen that?
today I see a video from one guy saying, "What the fuck? We are have to pay DJs that get millions are asking to pay
You saw the video that came from the
the
English guy, no, el británico.
yeah, maybe I don't know. It was I see a couple of play
See, there's
in
a
two
video
places.
floating around that, bro, and
Yeah,
I remember
and
reading about it yesterday. Now I saw this video, but I think that is it's fucking absurd, bro.
yeah.
And what kind of bothers me about that whole situation, dude, is uh, because I personally booked some of these people, so I know how much money they make. And when they kind of say something, and I don't want to say any names, bro, but like I was just
No,
very,
no.
very, very disappointed in some people like asking the
Yeah, because
public for
this
money,
moment
bro.
is not moment. I mean, I understand that it's bad situation for all of us in different levels, but I mean, the important thing now is the people that really need that. I understand that some tour managers could need it, but there is some people that can eat tomorrow. So it sounds really strange to donate for the tour managers, in my opinion. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're
I don't
not
want to
wrong, bro.
any problem with anyone, but it's nothing. It's something that I will not do that, because it's as he said, and it's right. The guys that are speaking in this video they are making a lot of
Oh,
music. They are
I'm making a lot of money, bro. Like I said, I've booked them personally, and I can tell you that these are people that are between the mid double to triple digits, and they're
yeah,
asking for money like that, bro. You know what I'm saying? When a lot of us don't have a job, don't have income, don't have things like this coming in, bro, and these are guys that make what my dad makes in a year, and these motherfuckers do it in 2 hours. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So you could give a
yeah,
little bit of money to your
absolutely.
tour manager, bro. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I think
think
you'll have no problems.
they are no están bien aconsejados en
No,
ese
not
scenario.
really. No, they're not advised very well. But that just kind of goes back to at the end of the day, just being humble, bro. You know,
Yeah.
um, people like yourself, dude. So Nah, David, I appreciate it very, very much, bro. I want to thank you so much for giving me the time to talk and all that, dude. I really appreciate it, bro. I really do.
Am I?
I'm very, very, very myself, and I'm sure everybody else too is very excited to hear about all the crazy shit that you've probably been producing in the studio right now. So hopefully we'll be able to get to hear it soon. And now that, bro, bless you, bless your family. I hope you guys are well. I want this shit to end. We all want it to end so that we can go back to doing what we're doing, bro, and you can go back to touring and now that, man, we can all go back to our normal lives. So, but in the meantime, David, nada, cuídate. You take care, buddy. And
Thank you.
yeah, man, and nada, you keep it up, bro. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, muchas gracias y también te mando todo mi cariño y espero que algún día nos veamos pronto. See you soon. Hope so. Hopefully very soon.
Dale. What is up, everybody, and welcome to another Tools of the Trade here on Speakerboxx. During the conversation we had with David Penn, we were talking about some of the plugins he likes to use. He recommended this one to me many years ago. He's been using it now for a bit. It's a plugin he's been using on a whole bunch of his records now that have been tearing up the charts, that have been kicking some serious ass that we've all been playing. And this plugin is absolutely amazing. It's super simple to use. It can work with any musical genre. So the plugin I wanted to talk to you guys about was The Endless Smile by Dada Life. This plugin is super simple to use, super versatile for any kind of music you want to make. The guys from Dada Life who made it completely knocked it out of the park. They really did. They did it already before when they made the Sausage Fattener. Such a dope plugin, so simple to use, so much power that it has. This one is even easier to use with just one knob. And what it delivers is absolutely astounding. So basically what the plugin is that it creates tension. So with one knob, it basically creates more like a sweep type effect without using the sweeps that way everybody uses, the uplifters, downlifters, things like this, but mostly with the uplifters where it goes shh, creates an effect like that. It builds tension. And it does it in the easiest of ways possible with one knob. It's got some presets you can use. And let's have a look at it, huh? So yeah, real simple. It's got just a preset window here. And they vary. They go from soft, medium, to hard, from more subtle to more extreme, as you can see. So I have it right now going on in my master channel for a track that I'm going to show you guys right now. But I mean, you can use this plugin on anything. I mean, you can use it on group channels, on specific instruments, and it just sounds so dope. It really does. The plugin is $40, so it's super cheap. Super worth it. It's a total must in your arsenal right now, I'm telling you guys. So for those of you guys who do have it, I'm sure you guys know how much ass it kicks. And for those of you who don't, highly recommend it. You guys got you got David Penn, who totally endorses it, that it's a total must for his productions. I have it right here in my master channel. You'll see what it does. I have mine a little bit more of it's more subtle, but I mean, you'll definitely hear it. And this is the track that I'm working on that's it's a bit on the Afro House tip. It's called Miminguni. I did it with an African vocalist named Ida Aziz, and we're releasing it with Oscar G's label, Made in Miami. Here it is. So this is it right here on the master channel. So as you can see, it helps create that tension, that build. Got another part of it going on in this part, and you can see how this thing automates. It's so awesome. as you can see, it's absolutely devastatingly crazy. I mean, I can try it like this. Now you can see the differences of what it'll do from something a bit more heavier. So we can just try it here again. So as you can see, man, yeah, it's so cool, and it can be used in a whole bunch of different ways. So I can't recommend it enough. There will be a description below where you guys can click on it to purchase it from the .net website. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough. And the smile.